What's good, my idol monglers? Today, I have a very special video for you. So, oh my god, that just rolls off the tongue. Whoever suggested the term idol, actually I did that, but whoever suggested call your fan base a name and then just roll off of that, fucking genius. I mean, I know every other YouTuber does it, but oh my goodness, bless that man to the ends of the earth. Like, welcome idol monglers, you know? The name is growing on me a little bit. The name is growing on me slightly. But I got a video for you here today. Top 10 favorite manga of all time. I've done this before. My manga has switched and changed a little bit over the years. It's over the last 6 months. It's changed and switched a little bit. Over the years, it's switched and changed a lot. But over the last 6 months, this has been my top 10 favorite manga. And they've switched places, but these will all stay in my top 10, most likely. And then after that, I'm going to go through my top 10 favorite manga I read this year. And I'll get into that a little bit more later. But I have a couple things to say before we start. One, please get this channel to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. If we do, big surprise. You can just go back. I don't feel like explaining it because everyone leaves before I'm able to explain it. But big surprise, big video planned if we hit 1K by the end of the year. It has to be by the end of the year. Can't be anyway. It has to be by the end of the year. I'm going to start releasing videos a lot. I'm going to start releasing more videos. Start releasing a lot more videos. Hopefully, I'm going on vacation in 4 days. So hopefully I have enough videos planned for the rest of the day. Or not day. The rest of the freaking month. Oh my god, I couldn't think of the word month, bro. Okay, that was one. And two, I'm not just doing that big surprise video. I'm kind of filming this video in preparation that we hit 1K and kind of like prayer. And I plan on doing 5 or 3 main videos on hitting 1K that I've done multiple times. One is this, top 10. Second is a discussion video. Third is a manga tour. Fourth is the big surprise video, which I've mentioned in other videos. The recommendation video. It's a recommendation video. You give me your recommendations, I read them. And number 5, I haven't decided yet, and I'll reveal it later. But I think I'm going to do ranking every series I've completed. Or ranking every series that I've read, in total. Ranking 100 different manga. I think that's what I'm going to do. Or just every series that I've completed, because that's 50 manga or something. That's a top 50, which I can definitely do. All right, let's just get into it. So my 10th favorite manga of all time. I've talked about it a lot. I'm pretty sure y'all know what it is. It's getting a pretty interesting adaptation this year. It's airing right now, actually, as we speak. It is Blue Lock. Blue Lock is in my top 10. I have read up to what is out, not just in English, in physical. I've read digital, which should tell you how much I like this manga. It is just so fucking good. It's so good. Let me just say it's positive. I don't think any of these manga have any, this manga definitely has flaws. That's why it's number 10. If it didn't, it'd be number 4. I'm going to be honest. But, these manga definitely have flaws. Blue Lock is one of those where it's it has flaws, but I embrace that shit. I just embrace it all hell. What I love about Blue Lock? Well, let me just say, the writing and the way characters talk is so fucking good. I love the way the characters talk in this manga because it just it makes me feel like I'm back in middle school, high school when I used to play sports. I used to play football. I was a swimmer, used to play football, and I would trash talk the shit out of my own teammates and the other team back in the day. And I mean, it just got me it got me so nostalgic even about this manga because the way characters talk to each other is this dumb shit that I would say to other people. Characters call each other shit that doesn't even make sense, but in the heat of the moment, it's a culmination of what players are thinking at the time. I really, really like that. Another thing I like, the unpredictability of this manga. This manga has a big emphasis on anybody can win, but also it's who has the biggest ego, who has the best skills, who has this. There's never a clear-cut answer on who could win. There's also never a clear-cut answer on who is better. Yeah, there are the rankings and stuff, but constantly throughout this entire manga, the rankings have been shifted by bias, if you will. Like, first selection, the rankings were fake. They weren't even real. Second selection, we only got the top 6, and even then, there might have been better players because Ego mentions, I just paired you with the best I could think of. So there might have been a 7th player, or not a 7th player that was number 3 or whatever, but it could have been Baro, but nobody wants to fucking play with Baro. He's ass. So it could have been that as well. Third selection, we got no rankings. And then Neo Egoist League, we have rankings, but those are bids. So those are a bit different from arbitrary, this player is better than this player. Because a player can get a bunch of blocks or whatever, get a bunch of goals, but, you know, they're still, like, it doesn't mean they're better than a different player that contributes in a different way. It's kind of how, like, people talk about soccer in real life, where there's people who go the eye test on this player's better because I watched the matches, or the goals and assist test where this player is better because they have more goals and assists. I mean, if that was true, Gravenberch would be the worst fucking player of all time. Like, I'm not just saying, I'm just saying he would be the worst player. That's a little soccer joke if you didn't know. That's a little soccer joke I put in there. Yeah, Blue Lock does that amazing as well. And then just some other stuff that I really like, and it's just themes of sports and how to win and the way of winning and how you feel and human desire. I fucking love it so goddamn much. I love the way this manga just shows sports in such a realistic but also exaggerated and fantastical aspect. I didn't even know you could do that, but Blue Lock does it in such a believable but also such an exciting way. It's genuinely one of the best, like, interpretations of sports I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've played sports my entire life. I watched sports my entire life. I still do sports. Like, I do boxing. Like, I my hobby is a boxer. I still have that, you know, like, I still play, you know, I don't play sports anymore, I gotta be honest, but I could if I had time. I would love to play some sports, but, like, just seeing the way Blue Lock portrays different sports and different aspects of sports too, especially when we get to the Neo Egoist League and we see all these different philosophies and interpretations of the same sport. It is so interesting and such a cool way, and it's honestly changed my life a little bit, where the different philosophies and the different things characters believe and the way that is planned out throughout the series, it almost changed my view on sports and also my view on my well-being and myself. And I'm crazy that a manga has done that to me specifically. And there's other manga that have done that on this list too that we're going to get into. But Blue Lock is one of those special ones that it just hits a different peak than any other series I've ever read. Now, it has flaws. I've been talking about Blue Lock this entire time. It definitely has flaws. This isn't a flaw. I didn't mention it, but the artwork is fucking incredible. I honestly, in my opinion, it's the best artwork that comes out weekly, like, out of all manga right now. If you take every single manga side by side that comes out weekly and you show the newest chapters of each manga, Blue Lock wins, in my opinion. It's so easily Blue Lock, especially because My Hero Academia stopped selling and Jujutsu Kaisen stopped. They both ended. Those looked very, very good. I still would have put Blue Lock ahead of them. Blue Lock has the best manga art that comes out. Like, the art here looks fine. But, it definitely progresses a lot more and it gets a lot better. Like, here, stuff like this. Like, this looks great, but, oh my goodness, the stuff in the later chapters looks so fucking good. It's insane. Like, just to spoil a little bit what happens in the later chapters of Blue Lock, Isagi literally goes Ultra Instinct. He literally goes Ultra Instinct and it looks fucking beautiful. Like, the art is so fucking perfect, but whatever. Besides that, here my issues, and my main issue with this manga, and even though I glaze how much it talks about sports and stuff, its portrayal of soccer is just not very good. Like, I can definitely tell the author knows what he's talking about with soccer, but I don't feel like he has the patience to explain the sport very well. Like, in my opinion, the best manga that explains the sport very well is Haikyu, and after that is Slam Dunk. Because Haikyu, it's kind of hard to explain, where it's like Blue Lock makes soccer kind of like into like a skill tree that you'd see in video games. Where, like, let's say Bachira. If you want to make Bachira a better player, like, let's say the author wants to make him a better player, to compare to the rest of the players, whatever. It's not going to be like he learns another skill move or whatever, or he learns a different tactic. He just gets better at dribbling. Or, like, he wants to make Baro better. He just gets a new move or whatever. It's kind of taking the very, very complex aspects of soccer and compacting it very, very stiffly into a battle manga, which is fine. Honestly, it doesn't bother me that much just because, no regular person is going to want to read a manga about soccer if they have no clue what's going on. Like, I'm honestly pretty sure that in America, I don't think 70% of people know what offsides is. Like, I'm going to eyeball it. I'm going to say 70% of people don't know what that is. So, like, I'm not expecting this manga to go in depth. And it does sometimes, like, when Isagi learns how to do off-the-ball movements and get around people's blind spot. That is a real thing that attackers have done. I mean, I've seen Victor Osimhen do it. I've seen Mbappe do it. Like, there's a lot of strikers that do that. And especially nowadays, they'll, go around the player a certain way that they don't have to get very physical with them. There are a lot of players that do that nowadays. And it goes intricate with some aspects, but a lot of others, it really doesn't. And that's probably my biggest issue. There are other issues I have as well. Like, some things. I mean, I think the pacing is perfect, but, some things should just be tweaked a little bit better. But at that point, I'm just nitpicking, and it doesn't really matter to me that much. All right, well, that's one manga done, and we're 11 minutes in. I'm going to go a little bit quicker. And this one, I don't really have much to say about it. Number 9 is Slam Dunk. Now, it's kind of hard to explain why I like Slam Dunk that much. I don't really have that big of an emotional attachment to it. I feel like if I had an emotional attachment to it, like I do, like a Haikyu, not even a Haikyu, something even, something that I think is worse. If I had an emotional attachment to Slam Dunk that I did to, like, Alice in Borderland, this would be number 2, number 3. This could be number 1. Like, I don't know why. I just don't have any emotional attachment to, like, most of the characters. I'm not really a big fan of any of them. I don't think they're just well thought out in general. I mean, I think they're well thought out, but they just didn't connect to me on a personal level like other characters from other manga in this list do. So that's probably my biggest issue with Slam Dunk, but literally everything else is perfect. Like, if you want to read a perfect manga, it's like this or a manga that we're going to come up with in a little bit that I'll mention later by the same author. If you want to read a perfect manga, Slam Dunk is your guy. Its art is fucking beautiful. Pacing, basically perfect. Like, actually, the pacing is so perfect, especially in the matches. It's so good. The writing, top tier, 10 out of 10. I don't even know what else you can quantify quality with a story or with a manga. I can't even think of any other aspects of a manga that you need to quantify for Slam Dunk for me to convince you to read Slam Dunk. Like, even though I said I have no emotional attachment to the characters, I still fucking love them. And I still think they're incredibly well written. Like, I think all the characters have great motivation, great goals. They're super important to the story, have great chemistry with each other. They have great character designs. And especially with the team aspect, they are incredible teammates. And their character arcs mesh with each other so well. The payoffs are so goddamn good. Slam Dunk does all of that basically perfectly. Like, so I don't even know how you do that. Like in my brain, I actually don't know how you do that. How Slam Dunk was able to articulate all these character arcs and storylines so perfectly and so seamlessly to the final match. And the final match is one of the best sports matches I've ever read in my entire life. I would put it up there with real fucking soccer matches I've watched. And real boxing matches too. Those are the main sports I watch. I would put it up there with that. Isn't that crazy? If someone was asking me like, oh, what sports game did you watch recently? Oh, fucking Shahoku versus fucking the other team, Fukunagagi or whatever it was called. What is this? I know Shahoku is one of them, right? Shahoku. And then there's Fukunaga, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure the other one's like Fukunaga. Those are like, I'm putting that on the list. And oh my God, the ending to the match was so good. This is an incredible manga. Honestly, another, like, probably my biggest problem besides my emotional attachment to the characters. That I don't really care about that, but My biggest problem is the ending. I think the ending is very, very good, but it could be better. I just don't really like that they end it on like a, and then they just lose, you know? I don't want to like spoil it crazy, but like I kind of did already. I don't want to spoil it, but like the ending is very lackluster. Like there's a huge, huge payoff, and then it just kind of trickles down and ends. It's a bit unfortunate, and honestly, I wish we could see a little bit more resolve from the characters. Maybe like a 10 years later, seeing what the characters are doing now. Maybe Sakuragi's a pro basketball player, or maybe he's not, he just plays in his off time, but he still has a shitload of fun with it, and it's still the love of his life. I would love that. Like, I would love that to no end. That would be incredible. There's, other things I would have liked as well, but, you can't have everything, and this is why it's number 9. So, don't got much else to say. Number 8, I'm going to breeze through the next 2 pretty quick just because I don't have like a lot to say about them, but I mean, just basically take whatever I put for Blue Lock and Slam Dunk and apply it for these 2. But it's Blue Period. These 2 are always next to each other in my top 10. I never move these 2 around. It's Blue Period. Blue Period, the best coming of age story I've ever read. Like, actually the best coming of age story. There's so many aspects of this manga that made me like rethink the way that I rethink type shit. Like I actually don't. Let me calm down. I was about to scream my head off. This manga is very good. We're gonna just move on to the next one before I do something I really shouldn't do. After that, I'm gonna just group these 2 together. Actually, Blue Period and the next one I'm gonna mention, Blue Period and Alice in Borderland. These 2 always right next to each other, and it's very, very scary to think of the ending for Blue Period. I love this ending. This is one of my favorite endings of all time in Alice in Borderland. It is the most, not ambiguous, but it is like ambiguous, but also tells a story in its own right, but also finishes off every single character arc, theme, plot point, whatever, and is basically perfect. This is the best ending I've ever read. This, or maybe Haikyu. Girls Last Tour is also up there. And Hiding Close is definitely up there too. This ending, it literally feels like this guy wrote the ending before he even wrote the entire manga. Like, this is how this guy writes endings. He wrote Hiding Close as well. And I actually feel like he just writes the ending first and then writes the rest of the manga. Because the endings are, every single time, the best part of the manga. He is so good at endings. And Alice in Borderland has the perfect ending. It's such a unique and also thoughtful ending, and it's so goddamn good. And then Blue Period, well, hasn't ended yet. I can already tell it's going to be a goated ending. Is so goddamn good in its own right too, just because of the way it portrays struggle in just a young person trying to survive in this very, very droughtful and harsh world. It is, and he's just wanting to do what he loves. And there's so many obstacles that come into his way that he has to kind of fight around. But it's not so easy as a 1 + 1 = 2. So I'll do 1 + 2 = 3. It's a very complicated road that he has to go on because he chooses the path of art and of oil painting. He has to be a lot more creative with his thought process and just how do you become a creative person? And you never really find the answer to that. He just gets better at being able to become creative, if that makes sense. I know it doesn't, but you gotta bear with me. It is genuinely, I can say this about any of the manga I'm going to mention in this video. Well, besides the last 10, which are the 10 I read this year. A couple of them are mismatched, but this is one of my favorite manga of all time. Like, of the top 10, of course, all of these are one of my favorite manga of all time. But Blue Period is special. At its peak, it is top 2 for me. At its peak, it's top 2, top 3. Now, at its peak, it does have some issues. Mainly, I think it should have ended sooner. I think him going to college and then time skip, you can end it right there. Now, does that mean I'm hating what we're getting? No, not in the slightest. I am loving the shit that we're getting. But I have the irking feeling in the back of my head when I read new volumes where we really don't have to do this. We could have just ended it here. His story could have finished. Now, the main character is still getting character arcs. He's still growing. He's still becoming a better person. He's still becoming a better artist. He's still becoming more creative. His story, now that I'm rectifying it, his story has not finished. But you could have finished it a lot sooner. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. If anything, Slam Dunk's ending is bad, not bad, worse because it ends too quick. And Blue Period did not end quick enough. I don't know if it's, I don't know what the ending, I know it went on hiatus, but I don't know what the ending is now. All right, next, I got a manga that I recently moved up, and I couldn't, this manga just hits me in such a deep place, like such a deep, dark pit of my heart. Yeah, that's crazy. It's real. It's so real. It's literally real. This is one of the greatest manga of all time. Like I keep saying this shit, but it's like it's just true. It's just true. It's like actually one of my favorites. Same author, Slam Dunk. It's basically Slam Dunk, but like a lot better. Like I'm gonna be honest, it's just a lot better than Slam Dunk. We get like 3 main characters, and I think I've cried like 30 different times at each of the 3 main characters. I'm gonna just spoil it a little bit for you. Trust me, it won't matter. You're gonna cry anyway. The first main character was like a punk in high school, had like 0 future, and was just pretty decent at basketball. Goes, like he has a bicycle, he has like not a bicycle, a motorcycle, picks up a girl, gets into a car accident, and then accidentally gets that girl into permanently paralyzed. Like she's in a wheelchair for her entire life. So now he has to deal with the guilt of he accidentally put someone in a wheelchair for their entire life. And he has to try to atone for that as well, trying to figure out his life because he just dropped out of school. So he has to figure out his life while also trying to figure out like his mental state and how to become a better person. And he also wants to figure out his reason for living because he'll go on these adventures or he'll go on these tracks that he thinks this is his path, and then they get shut down and walls get placed before them and he doesn't know what to do anymore. So he has to figure out a different path, and he hasn't learned that lesson. And it's so beautiful the way he expresses that through the other characters around him. It's genuinely incredible. Second main character was a runner for like his entire life, tried to beat a record, got like a cancer infection in his leg, had to cut that shit off, and basically became a husk of his former self for a little bit. I don't even want to talk about the third person. I don't even want to talk about him. I'm gonna start crying on camera. I don't even want to talk about that guy. That shit is so fucking sad for legit 0 reason. I'm going to spoil it for you. It happens in like the first volume. Actually, it does. I just turned to the page where he gets hit by a fucking truck. He gets hit by a truck. And then the third volume, we get a flashback to him and with his coach. And it's the saddest fucking thing of all time. Basically, when he was little, first off, I'm going to say he's an asshole. He is, like at the beginning of the story, he is the definition of an asshole. But when he was little, when he was a child, his dad left for a very, very long time, never came back. And his son, or our, third main character, basically wanted to continue basketball. And his dad was almost the antithesis to his love of basketball. He was the outlet for his love of basketball. Anytime he wanted to play basketball, he could play with his dad. Anytime he wanted to, Joe Paso, he could play with his dad. Anytime he wanted to challenge himself, anytime he wanted to work out, he could do it with his dad. His dad leaves and he goes to his coach. He's like, Coach, play me in 1v1, play me in 1v1. His coach's like, now, son, I can't do that. I can only play you after you've beaten your dad. And he breaks. And he holds his head in his hands and he goes, my dad's gone. Are you kidding me right now? This shit is the saddest thing. It's actually the saddest thing. They did not know it. They did not have to go that hard in the sadness. And I'm describing it, whatever. You might think it's funny. Just read the volume. Read to volume 3. Don't pick it up physically. It's expensive as shit. Go read it online. Read to volume 3. And then volume 14, 15, there's this giant ass wrestling match. And I legit think that I like caused myself a disease. Like I cried so much during this wrestling match. I legit think I gave myself crying cancer. Like I'm not joking. I'm not joking. Oh. Speaking of manga where you cry. The Horizon, number 4. I'm not going to talk about this too much. Actually, number 5. This is the saddest manga I've ever read. I know I'm talking about Real or whatever. I've read this manga. I've reread this manga a total of 6 times. I haven't counted how many I've cried because that would be too much. Have you ever counted how many cups of coffee you take every day? Or I guess you've taken? No. That's me when I read The Horizon, but crying. I don't cry. I'm going to be honest. I don't cry very much. I know I'm like making a big deal about how much I've cried during each of these series or whatever. Oh, I cried this amount of time. I cried this amount of time. I cried this amount of time. I will get sad. I will maybe tear up. I don't cry. I never like full out bawl to a manga. Actually, anything really. I don't full out bawl to like any kind of piece of medium usually. Most of the time, I don't do that. These 10 manga are the special time. This is like the only time it's a ball where it's like you have to hold your head in your hand and fucking cry that shit out. That's what I'm talking about. There'll be some times where I'll get sad. I'm like, oh no, that's so freaking sad. And maybe my eyes will swell up and you'll hear a little. I never fully ball out. Except for this. Real, I've done into Blue Period. I was in Borderland. Oh my god, the ending destroyed me. Blue Lock, don't even get me started with Mark Snuffy's backstory. Holy shit, that shit was sad. And then, oh my goodness, the next manga, Your Lie in April, the definition for making me cry. I'm just gonna skip because I don't really want to talk about The Horizon. The Horizon is actually pretty bad. I actually hate that manga. That manga actually sucks. Your Lie in April. Top 4. Used to be top 3, actually. Used to be my third favorite. I made a review on this, kind of. I don't actually remember if I made a full review on it or I did. I used to do those videos where I'd be like, ranking or reviewing 10 series in one video. I don't know if I did it there or I just did it in its own separate video, but I reviewed Your Lie in April. Oh, excuse me. I reviewed Your Lie in April. And it's very good. Like, I don't really know how to talk about this one. I reread the first omnibus. I read the first omnibus of what's coming out. They're coming out with omnibuses now, so I'm buying those and I'm rereading the series that way. And actually, like, it's... I just don't know how to explain it. It's just like a beautiful manga. Like, it's one of those manga. I mean, I feel like you could apply this to any of the manga that I've talked about so far, plus the manga I'm going to talk about later. You can apply this to any manga. It actually feels like if this man or woman did not exist on this planet, like if they just were never born, this manga could never be created again. That goes with like every manga, because every manga is different and every manga is birthed from that one creator, unless it's like a duo or like a I don't know, like a studio mandated manga. I don't even know. But even then, those are different as well. Your Lie in April and like The Horizon and like every other manga I've talked about, it's one of those manga where you feel like this is a manga that this man made for himself. It's like a Chainsaw Man. Like, I feel like Tatsuki Fujimoto, when he makes Chainsaw Man, does not like only listens to the voices in his head. Like, I don't think that man listens to his editors. He just does what he wants to do, and that's what makes it so good. I don't want to. It sounds very pretentious, and it definitely is. It definitely is. But Your Lie in April is one of those special manga that just portrays sadness, grief, emotion, like I don't even like rebirth, just so well in such a mature way that is expressed through these characters, like how our main character here starts to regain his life and regain like the color that he sees and regain his love for music as this character here is slowly dying and slowly whittling away. It is such a beautiful showcase of just everything. I'm using so many buzzwords here. A showcase event. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? I don't even know. It just feels right, okay? It just feels right. Next, I'm not going to talk about this manga too much because I feel like everybody on planet Earth that have read this like can tell you why this is good. I don't have to. It's One Piece. One Piece is just like one of those manga that like it's again like one of those manga where it's like this manga can never be made if Ichiro Oda did not exist. Like genuinely, I don't know what goes through that man's head. Like actually. Number 2, and this is a manhwa actually, that I have debated putting in my number 1, but I've held it back a little bit. I don't have any issues with it. Honestly, past like real, like probably Alice in Borderland level or Blue Period level, I stopped having issues with those manga. Like I legit, if you sat me down and put a gun to my head and said, give me one realistic, truthful issue you have with a real, I don't know if I could give you one. Genuinely, I don't know if I could give you one. Maybe the pacing is a little bit iffy on the later half. It's a little bit slow. And like that's the only thing I can think of right now, honestly. And then that goes for every other manga top. Like, genuinely, I can't think of an issue for Your Lie in April. One Piece definitely has issues. One Piece definitely has issues, but its peaks are way higher. So I just rate it higher. And I just love One Piece that much. All right, next is The Boxer. The Boxer, and this is one of those manga where it's like I literally cannot come up with an issue for The Boxer. The Boxer is so it just feels like a piece. It feels like a piece. It feels like its own thing. God, what am I even saying at this point? I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. The Boxer is just that good. Oh, well, first let me say, I'm definitely biased. I am a boxer. I mean, I've said I'm a professional boxer. I'm technically like an amateur boxer, but I'm kind of still a professional. So I definitely have like bias to this. Like every single time a character is punched, I legit have PTSD flashbacks of every time I was punched in the fucking gut or the head or the whatever. You know, like I feel those punches when characters punch, but I don't know. I've talked about it in other places. I've talked about it in other videos why I love The Boxer so much. And I think my belief is the reason why The Boxer is so good is because of how much the author makes us care about the main character, but also makes us care about the characters surrounding him as well. And how well themes and ideas are expressed through two characters that you both want to see win as well as lose. Fight. Like, genuinely, this guy, you, versus Santorino or whatever his name is, Fabrizio Romano, like Santorino, whatever the guy's name is. The guy who like has a Mike Tyson tattoo, kind of, and the blonde hair. That fight is so, it's just such it's a feat of manga. Like, actually, it's a feat of manga. Like, how crazy someone was able to make that fight. That's like a feat. That is an actual feat, in my opinion. I'm just going to skip to the next one, because I'm not going to talk about this one too much. And then, obviously, you know what? I'm probably going to split this into 2 videos, because this video is super long as hell. So, I'm going to do 2 parts. I'm going to do this part, and then I'm going to do part 2, manga I've read this year. So, this is just top 10 favorite manga. Next is going to be top 10 favorite manga I've read this year. Finally is Haikyu. I've talked about this a lot. Haikyu is my favorite manga. I recently am buying the omnibuses, or like the 3-in-1s that are coming out right now, and I got a bit scared. Same with Your Lie in April. I got a bit scared that when I would reread it, I wouldn't like it as much, because I've had Haikyu. This is my first manga in my collection. This is literally the first volume I've owned in my collection, and it is breaking apart. I actually got it at Target too. First manga I've owned, first volume. And it, like genuinely, I was very terrified to revisit it, because I was scared that I wouldn't like it as much. And the feeling wouldn't come back, and I would go, why did I like this that much? And it would go down lower on my list. And thank God, when I revisited it, it hit the same and even so much better. There's a moment in volume 1 that, like, not crying, but oh my goodness, was it so good. genuinely one of the best, not even one of the best moments in the manga, but just such a good moment. Oh my goodness, it's so good. I'm not gonna say it because I feel like me just describing it would just be cringe as hell. And I've been very cringe this entire video. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but what Haikyu has done for me and just the moments that it has in the manga and how it's like shown into my life and how, you know, I've changed throughout the years as I've been reading it. Pretentious as shit, I know. I literally no other placement but number one would suffice for this. Like, actually no other placement but number one. It has to be Haikyu. I could put I could give my praises to the Boxer, to Your Lie in April, to One Piece, to The Horizon, to Real, to Blue Period, to Alice in Borderland, to Slam Dunk, to Blue Lock, to any other series in my collection. I could give them the praises that they deserve. Haikyu is always going to be number one for me. And I will be shocked. I will legitimately be shocked if it becomes better than Haikyu. I don't think I'll find one. But yeah, that's my top 10. Stay tuned to like 2 days later or something. I don't know. Probably going to release the videos a day apart. I think that's how I'll do it. I want to release videos, like a lot of them, very, very quick, just so like I get more like showcase of my channel and more people can subscribe so I can hit 1K by the end of the year. And so actually it's better for me if I release this in a 2-parter. But yeah, thank you for watching. That was my top 10. If you made it to the end of the video, I know nobody did. This is a 36-minute video. If you made it to the end of the video, put a volleyball emoji in the comments down below. I know nobody did, but it would make me feel a lot better if you did. Also, subscribe. Try and hit 1K by the end of this year. Also, if you want any manga, manhwa, or comic reviewed, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to stop plugging this just because nobody's doing it, as well as I'm going to come out with the manga recommendations video, which is going to fulfill all your recommendations, but I'll say it anyway. If you want any manga, manhwa, comic, anything reviewed by yours truly, all you got to do is give me $1, $2, $5 as a super thanks. Put your manga recommendation down below, and I'll read it. See ya, idol manglers. Bye.